My guest today is Rabbi Dr. Pinchuk. I'll just say a little bit about why he's here. Well, he might actually say that, but the Kollel, and he will explain to people who don't know the Kollel and Mizrachi, world Mizrachi, before we begin. But 20 years ago, Mizrachi started a Kollel, and Rabbi Dr. Pinchuk, I don't think he was a doctor then, he is now, was here for 3 years. Since then, I think, how many Rosh Kollel have there been?
Well, it depends how you count them, but I think perhaps 6, between 6 and 8.
Between 6 and 8.
Depending on how you count them.
Now, we're very blessed, because 4 of you have come from Eretz Israel.
Now 6 actually.
6 from Eretz. Isn't that fantastic? And we're going to have this evening the Beit Midrash dinner, which is every year as a fundraiser. But I think I know that this is the first time we've had all of you coming back.
Yes.
So first of all, could you just tell us the 2 concepts people might not know, a kollel and what world Mizrachi is?
I can tell you what a kollel is.
Right. Okay.
Kollel, or perhaps more precise, a Beit Midrash, certainly a community Beit Midrash as opposed to Yeshiva, is really a place which attracts and draws people from the community, I would say working people from the community who spend their day doing their jobs, so in the various facets of work. And they spend part of their free time in the Beit Midrash. They come, they learn Chavruta, they learn on their own, be it Daf Yomi or a deeper shiur. So this is really a place which draws people to simply come and learn Torah as an act of devotion, as an act which they find exciting and meaningful. This is really the function of a community Beit Midrash, which I'm not even sure exists in other places in the world. Usually it's part of an existing yeshiva, and over here it's just an independent Beit shemegadlim bo Torah, a house where Torah is grown and nurtured.
And Havruta, meaning study partner?
Yes. Chavruta is probably from the word chaver, a friend.
Chaver, of course. Yes,
right? And this is a very interesting mode of learning, which is not well known in other places. Usually you would learn from a teacher who knows better than you.
Yes.
And over here it's 2 people on the same level learning one from another.
Is it always on the same level? Or is there usually someone knowing more in order to...
I mean, no 2 people are equal, so there's always differences.
You know what I mean,
there's a chavruta, which is a chavruta mevugar, an older chavruta, who would be more of a mentor. Usually when a person enters the Beit Midrash in Yeshiva, he's given a mentor for part of the time. But the bulk of the time is 2 people more or less on the same level, the same year, try to grapple with the learning itself. And it's very interesting. C.S. Lewis.
Yes, of course. Yes.
I forget in which book of his, he comments about learning not from a teacher, from a friend. He says, a teacher has all these things which he takes for granted that you understand. So when you ask him a question, he doesn't even understand what you want from him.
Sometimes.
And therefore he can't answer you. But it's only your friend who recently has been, challenged by the same issue. When you ask the question, you can actually understand what's bothering you and can help you out with it. So he has this whole piece. I don't think he knew about the Jewish way of learning. But he just comments that learning with friends together is often more powerful and useful than learning from a teacher.
So now we come to the fact that you're all here together now, all the Rosh Kollel, and can we go back to when you were here and how you see the difference? 20 years, well, not 20 exactly.
20 years.
20 years later.
Yes, we began in 1998. That's when the Beit Midrash began. I left here, we left here with my family 17 years ago, but we came 20 years ago. And yes, I think I do have the advantage of looking into history through this vista. I mean, people who have been here all along, I think, notice less the changes because they've been living along with the changes. And me looking back in retrospect, I see a tremendous, unbelievable change,
Really?
which of course I'm going to talk about tonight. I mean, if I can use a bit extreme terms, I mean, when I came here, it was really quite desolate. The room, which was designated for the Beit Midrash, was empty, and we were literally, I came here with 6 Hesder boys.
Yeah, 6.
6. And we were, basically begging, asking, running after people, come to the Beit Midrash for an hour, please come be the tent for a minyan. If we could find a minyan for Mincha Ma'ariv, we were ecstatic. And it was really a very, very difficult beginning.
Who was the person here I'm asking you because I don't know. Who was the person here in Melbourne who this was their dream? They
Well, amongst others, I'm sure it was a group endeavor, but I think the one person that certainly I had the most interaction was, of course, Danny Lamb.
Danny Lamb.
The president then, the president today.
The president now.
Yes.
And that 20 years ago.
Yes. I mean, to dream is easy.
Yeah.
But to be able to pluck the dream off the cloud and plant it in the ground and nurture it for 2 decades.
That is really
you need
something.
A true leader.
This is his night, really, isn't it, in a way?
I think so.
It really
yes.
is. So now when you come and you see what's going on, what do you see?
In 2 words, hayinu kecholmim. We were like dreamers. I literally walk around here rubbing my eyes, not believing that this is the same place. I mean, I've been here for a week, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the Beit Midrash, in the city, and it's really quite unbelievable the change that came. The Beit Midrash is packed. A minyan is taken for granted. People are coming, people are going. There are shiurim even in the city. These are 3 things that I didn't even dare to dream about when I was here. And now all these things are dval yom b'yomar, just taken for granted every day. And so it's just a very, very powerful experience for me.
And I understand also that I remember myself in 1987, I went to Poland with the Israel Philharmonic Orchestra as a journalist. And I remember going through Auschwitz with Zubin Mehta, and I had interviewed him. I was actually the only Australian journalist to interview him here in Melbourne a few years before. And in Poland now I understand, so I went through and whatever, and we went to Warsaw and whatever, but I never went to Lublin. And I understand, and I was so excited when I heard that. I thought, I have to go now, because you are very involved now with, is it a yeshiva at Lublin?
It used to be yeshiva. Yeah, I'll say a few words about that. You mentioned Poland. I mean, I went to Poland for the first time. It must have been 3 years ago. Actually, I accompanied my wife, who was going there to work for Torah Mitzion.
Oh.
And, I thought we were going to land, in Anatepka,
No.
Put a horse and a cart would come
No, I don't think you did.
So I was astounded to see a modern city and a modern country that was in Warsaw. So I became very friendly with the head of the Moshe Show Institute in Warsaw. The head of that institute is a Dr. Grażyna Pawlow, a Jewish woman there, very, very impressive woman. And at a certain point, she was charged with creating or curating, I would say, a museum in Yeshivat Chachmei Lublin. So just to get some names right, I mean, she's from Warsaw, but apparently the Warsaw community, being the largest community, has under its wings also the community of Lublin. Now, I guess it would have been the 1930, Rav Meir Shapira, the famed Meir Shapira, who instituted the Daf Yomi, which is up until today is thriving. He also envisioned a yeshiva, an elite yeshiva actually, and this is Yeshivat Chachmei Lublin. He built a very impressive building there. At the time, it was the the most modern and largest building in Lublin. Unfortunately, the yeshiva didn't last long, less than 10 years, but it had a profound effect and impact on all the Talmidim from there. Later went out to be the Rashi Yeshivot throughout the world. Rav Vosner from Bnei Brak, he was a student from there, and many others. After the war, the building belonged to the government, and they actually made a nursing school there. And it was only in around 2007 that this building was given back to the Jewish community. They turned it into a hotel, Hotel Ilan, and they set aside a part of the building to be a museum. And that's where Grażyna came in, and she began planning it, and then she turned to me and said, could you please help us, with translating documents and with giving us ideas. So I was very, very honored and very proud and very excited to be part of that. I don't know if we have time now to give examples of documents there, but it's really very exciting.
So from Poland, so you go there. How often do you go there?
I don't have to go there too often. I mean, I was there once for the opening ceremony. We got a medal from the mayor of Lublin, which is pretty exciting. But most of our work is done by internet, by email. I get documents, translate them, and we talk by Skype. Today, the whole world is fits into your phone.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes,
that's right. So now let's turn back to Eretz Israel, because you'll be leaving soon to go back
tomorrow morning.
Oh wow, very quickly. Yeah, and you're getting ready for Rosh Hashanah, and all of us, and. There's been, my daughter is actually on Aliyah there, and I asked her yesterday, I said, how's it all going? Because there were some really bad times, in the last couple of weeks. She said, things are quietening down now, which is probably what is always. But there was also this thing going on in the Knesset, wasn't there? The legislation for a nation state. Is that right? Nation state? Seems weird because we've been there for 70 years. So why?
Right. Okay. I mean, this law, which has stirred up a lot, it's like a tempest in a teacup, and there's not even any tea in this teacup. Essentially, it has taken the Declaration of Independence, which is not a legal document,
no, I understand,
and has legalized it. That's basically
why
what it's doing.
Why wasn't it illegal? Was that because the War of Independence
the Declaration of Independence is never a legal document. It's just, right. And it's not that they legalized the document. They took the contents of that document and they turned it into a law. It's a Jewish state. The language is Hebrew. Our flag is the flag that we know, the Star of David with the two blue stripes.
So what was the big thing about it then?
So, I mean, there really is no big thing about it. And what annoyed people, the left mostly, was that we're raising our flag and we're waving Am Yisrael Chai, and they always get upset. And this was a good opportunity just to start, barking at this. Okay. I mean, you can look at the law on all the internet sites. All you get is the actual law. But if you go to the Knesset site, you get the comments of different factions and parties on this law. Mm-hmm. And you see, I'm afraid to use this word on the radio, but completely, immature and idiotic comments, right? They said, let's add a comment, this is the law of apartheid, this is the law against...
please, no, don't.
So you just see how immature it is.
But there were two things. There was one was that Arabic was didn't call it the second language, that Israel was the official language.
Hebrew was the official language, and Arabic would have a special status.
That's the new thing,
right?
But before, what was it?
Before, I don't even know if there was any difference. I mean,
that's what I'm wondering.
Yes, I'm saying that's the whole point here, is that there's really nothing new. We're just stating the obvious, in a sense. I made this comment 2 nights ago. So the law really doesn't change anything. It's not adding anything new, and I'm sure the left would argue about this. But I said so as happy as I am that the law is being enacted, because I do think it's important, to buttress the status of the state as a Jewish state. It's very sad that you have to have a law to state the obvious.
Yeah.
I was telling them an example of there's this whole theory of how laws develop. Imagine a group of children, they're playing ball, and they're trying to throw it into a hoop. And they're all standing at a certain distance, and they're throwing in, everybody's happy. One of the boys decides to take 5 steps forward and throw it from there. And that's where everybody gets upset. No, you can't do that. And then a law is enacted. They draw a line, and they say, nobody can pass this line. So it's only when the tacit agreement is violated, only then do you need to enact a law. So I'm saying over here, the fact that this law has to be enacted means that things which up until now were taken for granted and obvious and simple suddenly are no longer that way. So you have to have a law to state it. So in that sense, the law is
the
said.
Druze community have always been absolutely loyal, and they've been in the army and everything. So they're not happy. Why is that?
They are offended. Again, this law is not detracting any rights from any individual, but I think I understand them. They're kind of offended.
Yeah.
We're part of the nation.
Exactly.
Our children are buried in cemeteries next to your children. They both gave their lives for the state. How come there's no mention of us here?
Oh, there's no mention. Is that the problem?
There's no mention.
The problem was there was no mention of the Druze.
They don't say it this way. Nobody's going to say I'm offended. So they say, we're losing rights. But I think that's really the essence. They're offended. And to a sense, I think they're right.
Yes,
They're a very important client. And they're simply being ignored.
They've always been very good people. Okay, so that's good. There was one other thing I wanted to say, but I've actually forgotten what it was. It's gone out of my mind. Oh, thank you very much. That I think that's really, really it. So, it's so annoying. Anyway, so what I'd like to say now is, could you just say there are people who do not know what Mizrachi is. World Mizrachi. It represents, because some people think, okay. So what we're going right. So Shana Tova. Now what should we be saying? Not Shana Tova, we should be saying something else. Ketiva vechatima tova, is that right?
That's the official.
The official
thing
is ketiva.
Yes.
Vechatima tova.
A good writing and signing. Of course, this is in tandem with our Masoret, our tradition and belief that there's actually a tribunal up in heaven where each person is judged for his merits and demerits on Rosh Hashanah, and we wish each other that the outcome of this judgment shall be a good writing and a good decree. Ketiva vechatima tova.
Shkoya. Toda rabah. Thank you so much.